Hey there. Hey. Guess what? It's time to finish Dark Souls. Yeah. It's time. It's finally time that we offer the Lord souls that we got from all those pesky bosses. And with their powers combined, we open this here door leading to the Kiln of the First Flame, where Lord Gwyn awaits us so that we may link the fire and save the world or whatever. Actually, I don't know if doing that actually saves the world. There seems to be an implication that it's actually only prolonging the inevitable doom of the world. But that's always the case, right? The world will end, no matter what we do. We can stave it off, but at the end of the day, change always happens. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Gwyn is over there in the giant Colosseum. So we have to fight our way to him. There's not a lot to say about this area. It's pretty desolate. There's a few items here and there, but mostly you're gonna be fighting against a bunch of these warriors, knights. These are the strongest versions of the knights we have faced so far. And I believe these have a much higher chance of dropping their, their assigned weapon. Actually, there's a knight here that drops a weapon that would have been pretty kick-ass to wield all game, but there's actually I don't think there's any other place in the game where you can get it. So that's a shame, but it's a pretty kick-ass weapon if you can get it for the second playthrough. Yep. Okay. So those two were easy. Now we're gonna be fighting in a slightly more confined area. By the way, I'm expecting this episode to be quite short. It's the finale and all, I know, but there's really not a lot to do. It's just getting to win and fighting him. And he's an involved boss fight, of course, but he's not particularly long or anything, so that's what's gonna happen. Okay, we can't really circle around him in this area, so we're just gonna kill him this way, wear him down little by little. And man, that halberd that I'm wearing, it has come far. I remember a time where I thought I might not use it. It's like, I don't know, this halberd, I know how to use halberds. I don't know if it'll be even all that strong, and look at us. We used it, ended up using it all throughout the game. Goes to show just how strong these fucking Black Knight weapons are. I think they're really, really strong. And this is it. This is the knight that drops the Black Knight axe. And that weapon is fucking glorious. That's a really strong weapon. I would be really glad if he dropped it. But he didn't. You can always reload and try again, but why bother, right? We're so close to the end. We don't need another weapon right now. And we just hit him as he gets up. And that does it. That's really it. That's all there is to it, to the Kiln of the First Flame. Beyond this door is Lord Gwyn. Okay, breathe in, breathe out. You can do this. Let's go. Let's finish it. Let's finish Dark Souls. Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. He has a flaming sword, which means that every single attack of his does fire damage, so you can't really block him forever. And you want to block him, you want to attack when he's vulnerable, as is the case with every boss. Gwyn opens himself, not as often as other bosses, although he does have a few openings that you can exploit. In general, though, you want to attack after he has done a string like that. Sometimes he won't give you enough time to really counteract. And you may want to chill a little bit with your attacks, actually, because sometimes attacks are so fast that he doesn't actually give you enough time to recover your stamina. So you might just run into a bit of a stamina problem. And it is advisable that you trade with him like I just did back there. Just because even with the trade, you'll usually be recovering more HP than he's doing. So it's still you still end up positive in that trade. So it's worth it. He's gonna do a special lunge attack. Yeah. Okay. He has a grab too that he has tried to do a few times already, and we have dodged it. You don't want to get hit by that, obviously. And the kick. Okay, he's gonna do the lunge. No, that's the grab. That's the grab there. We attack him. The grab leaves him particularly vulnerable. But as you can see, Gwyn is now not a big deal. Like, you just block him and attack him, and then he's dead, just like that. Die, Gwyn. Oh boy, how the mighty have fallen. And that's just not me talking about Gwyn. That's me talking about Dark Souls. Because guess what? We have completed Dark Souls. We have made it. And now you can do it too. With the guide, with this guide that I have given you, with the powers that this guide has conferred, the knowledge, everything, you too can defeat Lord Gwyn and link the fire. Or you can choose to walk away and not link the fire. But since we said we would, let's just link the goddamn fire. And now we get to watch the ending. Yeah, this game is pretty special to me, I think. I think it's one of my favorite games of its generation, like the PS3, Xbox 360 generation. It's been so influential, man. There's all sorts of games now that just copy the stuff that Dark Souls did. But Dark Souls in itself, like, I think the gameplay hooks of Dark Souls and the philosophy behind Dark Souls is not a particularly new philosophy, you know? It wasn't new back when it came out. Demon Souls did a little bit of that before it. But I think what made it special is that it brought back a certain design traits that you didn't get to see much anymore in that time, in the console generation. I remember Dark Souls came out after a string of a lot of those what you would call God of War clones. A lot of those were coming out by that time. I think it was like a string of, it was like DMC4, Heavenly Sword, Bayonetta, Darksiders, Dante's Inferno, God of War 3, obviously. And all of those had a very dark sector even. Dark sector, and maybe I'm just missing a few more. I know DMC4 may not enter that conversation, but it's kind of like, you know, the sort of fighter, brawler, adventure, third-person-y thingy that those things generally are. And I think Dark Souls distinguishes itself by giving you, instead of flashy gameplay, actually, you know, robust and challenging gameplay that made you really think about what you were doing. Often, all those other games, you know, you didn't have to think about what you're doing, like, at all. It was a button mash fiesta, and I'm not saying they are bad. Some of them are certainly really good, like Bayonetta is a really good game. I think God of War 3 is a pretty good game. But the fun was elsewhere. The fun was basically in the flashiness, the doing the combos, the executions and stuff. And all of that is all well and good, but it gets old. Like, Bayonetta is a game that I think is a little bit too long. It's really good, but it's a little bit too long. Like, by the end, you're fed up with it. That's what happened to me. Like, okay, you know, I've seen everything already, you know, just let me end this. God of War 3 has this ridiculous plot too that it's fun to follow, but the gameplay also ends up getting pretty stale by the end. But this game, Dark Souls, really doesn't get old, man. Like, you can always come back to this game and try and beat it a different way. There's a lot of ways you can play it. We did a warrior run right now, so obviously that's the way we played, but we could have chosen to go mage or assassin or like a fucking cleric. Anything goes, man, and there's a lot of ways that you can make it work. So that's why I really like this game. In many ways, it reminds me of an NES game, like a well-designed, you know, challenging but fair NES game, in that it only, you know, it doesn't really hold your hand in any way in the way that NES games used to be. It's just like, okay, here's your buttons, here's your weapons, go. figure everything out yourself. It trusts you to do that. And I think it ends up really benefiting from that philosophy. Of course, it's the same philosophy that makes it so that some people think it's a little bit too, hard to approach. But hopefully, this video, along with, many other videos on the internet, can convince you to see that Dark Souls is not all that hard. It's not all that difficult. In the end, it's only just about, persevering through a few frustrating spots that'll ultimately just enrich your experience. So yeah, I don't really think I have anything else to add there. These credits are all very fine and good, but you don't have to watch them. And I certainly don't want to. Okay, I have nothing more to add. This has been the Dark Souls informative playthrough. Now, in the future... Oh yeah, we're back here. This is the start of the second playthrough, so, you can do that if you want. But yeah, in the future, I'm going to try and play other games. Like, obviously I can't just keep playing Dark Souls forever, so I'm gonna try and tackle other games, and they might not be full playthroughs, they might be just sessions or random, video assortments. And I think that what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to not focus on just one game. Like, I wanted to do this one first and foremost as a test to see if this whole thing worked, and I think it did. So next up, I'm going to try and play various different games and upload videos of them, like, just any way I feel like it, basically. Maybe I'll play, I don't know, for example, Super Mario 64, and I'll upload a video of Super Mario 64. But next time, maybe I'm not playing Super Mario 64. Maybe I'm playing fucking Final Fantasy, and upload a video of Final Fantasy. I'm gonna try to do the variants in that way. So yeah, stay tuned if you have liked my style of video. I hope to keep improving. I hope to eventually add some editing into these videos. I've liked the raw footage approach, but that can only take us so far, right? So yeah. Thank you very much for watching through the Dark Souls informative playthrough, and I'll see you guys next time when we tackle another different video game. Ciao, ciao.